Hi there, I'm Georgia from Peking Pastels. In this segment of our Learn to Sew series, we will be assembling our pants. To assemble pants, you need to start with the inseam, which we've already done in the Learn to Sew a Seam segment of the series. You'll need to repeat that with your other set, and then lay them down right sides facing, and we're going to match these raw edges right here, and this is the crotch seam. Down here is the bottom of the pants, and up here the waist is the waist, so we're going to pin this, matching these sewn seams, making sure they're right on top of each other. And we will pin this, sew a 1/2 inch seam, cut it and finish it like we did the other seam with a zigzag stitch. Again, we are pinning perpendicular to the seam. Before I sew this crotch seam, I'm going to assume you've never put pants or shorts together before. Right now, it does not make sense as to why this is the waist and this is the bottom of the pants. It'll make sense after we've sewn the crotch and we start to assemble the sides of the leg seams. But for now, with my fabric, you know that this is the top and this is the bottom because it's directional. The skulls are facing up this way. So let's go ahead and sew the crotch and then we'll see how it fits together. If this is your first sewing project ever, this will be your first curved seam. I want to explain a few things before we sew it. Sewing on curves is actually very simple. All you need to do is either guide your fabric to the left or to the right as you're sewing it. You never pull the fabric from behind your machine, from behind your needle, and you never need to push it. So let's get started in sewing this curved seam. Okay, again, we're going to match up our seam allowance lines. Make sure I have a straight stitch. And back stitch, which is this button on my machine, basically just makes your sewing machine go backwards a little bit. You need to do that at the beginning and end of most every seam that you do. So go forward and backwards a few stitches and then go forward again. Remember to stop and take out your pins. Now as we're going around the curve, make sure that the raw edge runs along your seam allowance line. And sometimes it's hard to tell where to look. You should look right next to your foot. So you need to find a line and that's the first line for me for the seam allowance I'm using. So we're going to keep an eye on that and make sure it stays there. Taking out my pins, and I'm just gently guiding with both hands which direction my fabric needs to go. Don't forget to backstitch. I need to finish my seam like we did the first one. I'm not going to show this every time, but you just need to assume that every seam needs to be finished on this pair of pants before you move on to the next step. So we cut off the seam allowance to 1/4 inch along the curves. And now we zigzag along the raw edge. The first thing you need to do, of course, lower your presser foot, change to a zigzag stitch, and let's get going. As you go around the curve, make sure that the left side of the zigzag stitch is catching the fabric. Otherwise you'll have sections that aren't stitched at all. Now that you've sewn and finished your crotch seam, we're going to press it open with dry heat. Just lightly. Make sure that seam opens up nicely. Now I'm going to close it back up so that you can see where we are. There's our crotch seam.